It's called Smut. Give me smut and nothing but a dirty novel I can't shut if it's uncut and unsut.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to episode 1.5
of
this podcast.
The podcast.
1.5 is the mini episode, where we introduce our guest for the season, and her name is Sean Buckley.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Sean.
Hi, Sean.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great.
How are you guys doing?
We're all right.
We're all right. I'm hungover.
You both
I'm
are.
hungry.
Yeah.
So we're doing great.
Hungover.
We're just going to ask you a bunch of questions kind of to get you in the mood for this season.
But first, Sean Buckley, tell us
a little.
about you.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Any specifics?
Well, when we did our intro, we talked about
Some guidance would be great.
our demographic information, our educational information. Just
Like where we're
basics.
coming from, you know?
I was like, I'm a
maybe
white
you're
lady.
Yeah, I'm single. I'm straight. Like, yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. I am in a committed relationship. I am 30.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm
Fucking brag
really,
about it.
I have a t-shirt that says it, and I wear it daily. I'm wearing it now. And I'm 30, and I am also a heterosexual. And I live in Chicago with these lovely ladies, not with them, but in the city. Mm-hmm. And I went to college.
Congratulations.
You said education.
Fucking brag about it.
What did you do?
Oh,
in
sure.
college?
Okay. Again, I need guidance. I'm a child with this. So I went to Northwestern. I studied theater, which was a waste of time. And but I, school. Mm-hmm. And now I do comedy when people will let me. Mm-hmm. And I was briefly a preschool teacher with zero education. It was super illegal. And now I work in tech.
All right.
Nice.
So you're like an all-around, all-American.
She's a well-rounded gal.
She's a well-rounded gal. Works with likes children.
I do. I love children.
Unlike one of the hosts here, which is me.
I don't like children
Oh,
either.
Yeah, neither
do
of
both
you
of us
do.
not like that?
No.
I like the children that are related to me.
Yeah. One day when all my
Other
friends
people's
have kids,
children though are bad.
I'm gonna be the best aunt. First of all, what kind of books do you read? Do you read?
I do read.
Do you know how to read?
I just said I went to college. I mean, it was theater. But
Doesn't
really.
matter. What types of books do you like
what
to
types
read?
of books?
So in my youth, I was very much into like the young adult romance novels, but those I don't feel are like the ones you'll be discussing. They're very much like they met in school.
It's where we came from, though.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. So I was very much in the origins of that. There's one called When It Happens that is still my favorite, where it flips between perspectives of the guy and the girl. And it was the cutest book. I reread it once in college, and it was still so cute. So I feel like it's more the cutesy rom-com esque stuff that I enjoy.
And you don't have to keep it to just romance novels.
Oh, no,
there's
I know.
other stuff you read.
That was what I was only reading when
Okay.
I was young. Now that I've gotten older, I think more like mystery thriller, like murder stuff.
Yeah.
Is more what I lean towards, and then like sci-fi, fantasy kind of mysteries. Like we've talked about the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn
Hardcastle. Love that book.
I feel like that kind of encapsulates what I enjoy. It's
Okay.
like there's unknowns, there's adventure, there's mystery, there's like twists and turns, and so those are the ones I think I read the most.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Question number 2.
Okay.
Do you read fan fiction? If so, what kind?
I do read fan fiction. Not so much anymore. I got very into One Direction fan fiction right after college. I was very into One Direction. And I can't even remember how I found it. I think maybe my old roommate in college sent it to me. And I know for a fact Emily Berusian has read this book accidentally, not knowing it was One Direction.
Shout out to Leah Yo, who made me read that book. Still mad about it.
There was this one that got kind of big, got published into a real book and then a movie. It was called After. And it was meant to be Harry Styles, but his name was like Harden or something like that. And then
We should watch that movie.
Absolutely,
We should totally watch that movie
we should.
together.
And it basically was like a 50 Shades of Grey, but everyone from One Direction was in it, but they all had the different names.
Oh, and they're in like college. Well, I
yes,
don't know if
they're in
is the
college.
fanfic still college.
Fanfic is
Okay.
still college.
I read the book called After.
So yeah, I could get into way more detail about that, but that's like probably the most consistent fan fiction I've read. But then of course I got very into Super Hulock. Yes, I was like,
We're both familiar.
It was such a moment in time.
Yes.
such a moment.
Do you want to explain to the listeners what Super Hulock was?
Absolutely, I do. So it was very Tumblr heavy, and it was a combination of the Supernatural boys, Doctor Who, and Sherlock.
Yep.
Is it HBO show? Yes.
BBC.
BBC.
Yeah.
And I very much leaned towards the Super Who, the Super Hulock.
Whereas I was very the Hulock.
Yes,
I was also very Hulock until
I never
later
got
days.
into Supernatural. Yeah.
I only got into Supernatural in college because my roommate was obsessed with it.
That's
and
when I got into it too.
Loved it, but
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Supernatural episodes, if I can,
Oh,
is
absolutely.
when they discover the Supernatural book series. The show got
Oh my
so
god,
meta.
I love that
Yes.
episode
Yes.
so much.
And they
it's so good.
The show got so meta because it's a dedicated fan base, and so they go online and they start looking up the fan base of Supernatural, the book series, and they're like, it's a small but dedicated group. They also seem to really want us to hook up.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny.
And they're like, do they not know we're brothers? And it's like, it's completely calling out the fanfic community.
but they love it. They love the community.
Oh my god, they do.
It's very evident.
I think that's one of my favorite episodes.
That's great.
Yeah. Those
Question
are the ones I read.
number 3.
Okay.
You said you used to read romance. You currently read a lot of mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever dabble in the romance nowadays? And if so,
do.
you read any like Kindle Unlimited books?
I do not. I've
You don't
only
have a
heard about
sub?
that from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But I don't have a Kindle either, so.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Oh yeah, that's also a thing you need if you're gonna do Kindle Unlimited.
Well, you can get it through Amazon.
I figured.
And it's still like a Kindle thing. But
Yeah,
you
you can.
on your phone.
Yeah, you can read on
Yeah,
your. You can have
yeah,
the app. Yeah, I guess I should have said
or
that.
on your computer too.
Yeah, I think I have
Generally.
all 3 actually.
Yeah, I do too.
But did you? Was that a yes or no to romance at all?
Some romance, mainly from you two, actually. So, like, the ACOTAR series.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I stumble upon one, I'll read it, but it's not one that I seek out, usually.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite relationship dynamics that you like to read?
Oh, that's such a good question. I love an enemies to lovers.
Same.
I saw a TikTok about how enemies to lovers is just because everyone wants someone to see the worst in them but love them anyway.
Oh God!
I know. And I was like, oh, that's so true.
Dare they?
Right?
I don't like to be seen.
I love it.
Accurate.
And I think from my Sarah Dessen days, like the early romance books, there were so many of like the outcast guy who actually has a heart of gold
Yep.
and like knows poetry. And then like she's just a small town gal. It's kind of Heathers-esque, honestly, except without the murder.
Right.
Like,
Well, that's boring.
I know, exactly. But I think there's the outcast and the like semi-popular girl coming together has
Yeah.
always been a big one for me.
Into it. So we talked about this in our first episode. I'll go real quickly, but of the smut romance split under the erotica umbrella,
Okay.
what do you prefer? So erotic romance is more the story can stand without the sex. It's still in there,
Yeah.
but there are involved plot lines and emotional arcs. Whereas in a smut thing, neither of those have to be present.
Yeah.
It's most of the chapter space is dedicated to like smut,
Okay.
or I'm sorry, sex scenes.
To sex. I figured I knew what you meant.
So where do you prefer?
Is it unfair to say that it really depends on my mood? Like,
No, that's
that's-
not
that's
fair at all.
normal.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think it just depends what I'm looking for. Because, like,
Right.
there's some days where, like, I've read fanfic where I've literally, like, scrolled past the conversations because I just want to get to the sex.
100%.
Like, I don't care that you had dinner with your mom. I don't care.
Control F.
Yes.
Penetration.
Or, like, deep longing. Or, like,
Sorry.
it's lips touch.
Moan.
Yes, exactly. Or, like, that moment when, like, we shared each other's breaths. Like, I'm like, that's where I want to
Their
get.
tongues battled for dominance.
Yes.
Their
So-
tongues fell for dominance.
It really depends because I've literally gone past conversations to get to it, and then there's other times, and then I think there's also times where it's like if the relationship captures my love and my attention, then I want that story.
Yeah, you want to
Right.
read the build up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it really depends on my mood, and it depends on how well the relationship is written.
Yeah.
Because like I've been reading a fanfic that Jess sent me. Where I don't care about the relationships. I just want to get to the sex.
100%.
Yeah.
And the thing the thing that kills me about that fanfic
Yeah.
is the first.
Do you want to say what it is, by the way?
What is it called?
Oh
Sean, do you
God,
remember?
it's called something like "Share a drink with me." Drink with me.
Drink
is
with
it,
me.
Is it the?
Oh,
is
it
it in
is-
Stranger Things?
No,
No,
it's not.
no.
It is Arcane.
Arcane.
Oh,
League
got
League
it.
of Legends card, which
Yes.
is great. Everyone should watch Arcane.
It's fantastic.
But the thing that kills me about this fic is the first 14 chapters is all build up, and it's great,
It's great
and the
build-up.
relationship is great. But then it does that thing where they bang and then conflict needs to happen.
Yes.
And it kind of goes for me.
It did for me too.
No insult to the writer. They're doing a great job. They're resolving the fic.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do get that when I'm reading too, where you're like the build up,
Yes, yes.
and then once there's the consummation, if you will, you're like, okay, I'm not. What else am I here for?
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
And that was the main thing too, because like also the banging was so good.
The banging was so good.
Oh, it was exactly what I wanted, and then immediately there was conflict, and I was like,
is there anything, and this can be like triggers as well for our knowledge for like future episodes too.
Absolutely.
Is there anything you think is super cringy or dislike reading?
Ooh, in the smut and romance world. Not that I've come across yet. Like that's the thing. I'm pretty vanilla.
You got to try it first.
Yeah. Like I'm pretty vanilla in the sense of like I haven't read that much. Like I know you guys have talked about knife play, and you guys have talked about like again a lot of
this
intense
is a
stuff.
normal Saturday night
that I have not read yet. So I can't say for sure if I'm going to read it and be like, blah. Like,
right.
But no, there's nothing off the top of my head. I feel like if it's okay, if we ever get to a place, I might be like, hey, D, time out. Like,
oh yeah, and we'll talk about that.
Just say the word grapefruit and
got it.
We'll be good to go.
We know what that means.
All right.
The last one. What can you describe like your ideal romance story? If
This
you
is
need
one
to
I
use
wish.
like One Direction people, that's fine.
No.
Or
that was a time and a place, and I love that time and place, but it has passed.
so we can say like maybe right now in current life. You don't. It doesn't have to be a love for all seasons.
No. I think based on the romance novels I've been reading, they've been very magic heavy and they've been very fantasy heavy. So I think a magical world, probably a magical. I mean, I don't want to say it's Twilight because it's not Twilight, but like I think a magical man or woman and immortal. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want one and one.
One and one.
Okay.
Someone who like would unlock a new world for that other person in like a fantasy way, and likely the other person would get, emotional stability. Like that's probably what they learn.
I've already got a recommendation in my mind for you, by the way.
Isn't that the most sexy thing though, is emotional stability? But yeah, I think that would kind of marry all the stuff I've been enjoying lately, where there's like a new world, so there's like reveals and probably some danger, and then there's just genuine romance.
Can I ask, do you want like the female to be strong? Do you want the male to be like the protector? Do you want it to be a friends to lovers and enemies to lovers?
That is one thing that actually I don't know if I'm triggered by it. So I'm not, but that's one thing that I'm kind of over is like, I have to protect you. Like, which is a lot of After and some of ACOTAR.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm over that. I'm over the idea of like, you can't go, you'll die. And it's like, I want both.
It's like,
They need to have like autonomy. And
we've
like,
read this person be badass for 300 pages, and then their partner is like,
stand down.
You can't do this.
Exactly.
It's like I can.
I've very much proven that I can.
I feel like it depends on like a story basis for me for that one, but I also lean towards that as well.
I think there's a non-toxic way to do it.
Yeah.
But I think there's just so many toxic versions of it that I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So I think I would almost prefer if the female was the magical one and she was the badass who was almost kind of like bringing this man into her world.
And that actually brings me to a good question. When it comes to gender,
oh yes,
what do you like to read? Are there any pairings like gender wise that you're like, that doesn't do it for me?
Not
I know
really.
You said you're straight, but
I am indeed.
You know.
But like not really when it comes to like reading stuff. Like because as long as I can like imagine myself in that situation for the most part, and I don't even need to always be in the situation.
Right.
It's hard to describe, but I feel like reading about sex is reading about sex, and as long as they're not just like specifically saying like, and then the penis touched the penis, and there's only penises, and you're not there, then and like also with like there's two vaginas, focus on that. Like they usually don't do that when it comes to sex scenes. It's about the pleasure, and it's about
it's the buildup.
It's the buildup,
yeah.
And so I don't necessarily need it to be like, and this is hetero. Don't worry, like. That doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. No, that's good for us to know too.
Yeah.
Like while we're going through stuff, like if there's anything off limits there.
No, not so much. I mean, I'm not into age gap super much. We've talked about that. Like that doesn't necessarily do it for me. I don't mind it, but it's like it's not like, ooh, goody. He's 60 and she's 30. Woo. Like
Cute.
I have a very specific timeline with my age gap.
I know.
So.
Wait, what's this?
I like 10 or less years.
But see, I don't even know if that qualifies as an age gap.
See, the thing is,
10 years is an age gap.
The thing is, 10
If
years is
she's
is
19
my,
and he's 29. That's an age gap.
Okay,
That's fair.
10 years is my current reality, though.
Yeah.
With my fiance,
This is
so
true.
that
But that's-
I need at least 15 years to make it spicy.
Erotic.
Listen, I think what colored it for me, and again, I am more than willing to like try again with things. And you know what? No, I guess I've read one where it's like he's like 36 and she's like 24. So I guess that's what, 12 years. But
Yeah.
no, I read one. It's actually a well-known book. I'm not.
Okay. No name.
I get. Well, I could. Yeah, Praise. I read Praise.
Oh, yeah.
Where she and a man are attracted to each other, but she also dated his son. And I think
sorry.
I think that's where Sean did not like that.
We found one for Sean.
And that's where
That's
it like
just so
it just got a
weird.
little like awkward for me. And again, hashtag no kink shaming, but I was like, no, now I'm a little out of it.
Shaming a little bit.
See, I've,
like,
I've read that shit and enjoyed it. Not praise, but I've read other iterations.
I think
of
if there
that.
was no son, I'd be more like, yeah, I'm into this. So.
But that's okay. Like if the kink is I'm gonna bang your son and then I'm gonna bang you.
Well, that
I'm gonna
wasn't
shame
like
that a-
it
that's
didn't
the thing.
try.
No,
it just happened.
That doesn't
way.
do it for me.
I'm gonna shame that a little bit.
But good to know. Good to know.
Well, again, it's not off. Like the thing is, nothing's off limits, but I still might go like, oh.
Also, I guess I keep saying that the guy is always older than the girl in my.
That's
in
most
the
of
things
the
I read.
things that I've seen.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
them. A lot of people like a zaddy.
Indeed, indeed.
And then the last question was, what is one thing off the top of your head that you would want to learn more about?
In the world of romance and smut.
Yes.
Oh, I'm just gonna say knife play. To be honest, is
Oh,
do?
interesting.
Wow.
Because you guys, okay,
Starting off strong.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we'll dive in. Because I think that's something that both of you have mentioned off the podcast. Sorry to reference life beyond the podcast.
How
but it's
dare you.
I know, I'm sorry. But it's something you both have mentioned, and it's something I know literally nothing about. And so I feel like that would be a fun place to start for me because I have knowledge of basic fan fiction stuff. I know some of the tropes, but that is something that, again, going in blind. And so I think that would be a fun one to learn more about.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with that.
All right, cool. So the next episode, our
be
theme is going to be
knife
knife play.
Yeah, I'm getting you guys into this
Wow.
the deep end with this.
No, thank you. I
Thank-
appreciate that.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
Sean.
And we'll see you next time.
Correctly viewed, everything is lewd. I could tell you things about Peter Pan and the Wizard of Oz. There's a dirty old man.